Sometimes a function needs specific information to perform its task. In such cases, when you declare the function, you give it parameters. Inside the function, the parameters act like variables. If a function needs information to work, you indicate what it needs to know in parentheses after the function name. The items that appear inside the parentheses are known as the parameters of the function. Inside the function, these words act like variable names. This function will calculate and return the area of a rectangle. To do this, it needs the rectangle's width and height. Each time you call the function, these values could be different. This demonstrates how the code can perform a task without knowing the exact details in advance, as long as it has rules it can follow to achieve the task. So when you design a script, you need to note the information the function will require in order to perform its task. If you look inside the function, the parameter names are used just as you would use variables. Here the parameter names, width and height, represent the width and height of the wall. When you call a function that has parameters, you specify the values it should use in the parentheses that follow its name. The values are called arguments, and they can be provided as values or as variables. Here's an example of an argument used as a value. When the function here is called, the number 3 will be used for the width of the wall, and the number 8 will be used for its height. Here's an example of an argument being used as a variable. Here you do not need to specify actual values when calling the function. You can use the variables in their place. So the following does the same thing. It takes the function getArea and passes on the arguments wall width and wall height. People often use the terms parameter and arguments interchangeably, but there is a subtle difference. When the function is declared, you can see the words width and height used. These appear in the parentheses right here. Inside the curly braces of the function, these words act like variables. These names are parameters. In this example down here, you can see that the getArea function is being called and the code specifies real numbers that will be used to perform the calculations, or variables that hold real numbers. These values that you pass into the code, the information it needs to calculate the size of this particular wall, are called arguments. Let's make a quick example that shows how this works. Here I have a very simple page, and what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll create a function. We're going to give the function a name of area, and inside of the parentheses we'll pass on the parameters of width and height. Then we're going to go ahead and inside of our curly braces we're going to run a return and specify width multiplied by height. Then I'm going to go ahead and create a variable that is going to contain the actual numeric values that I want to pass on. So we'll make a variable called size, and I'm going to make it equal to the function called area, and I'll pass on the values of 3 and 6. And now, just so we can test this inside of the browser, I'm going to simply run an alert that calls the variable size. Let's save this page and let's preview it in our browser. Here's the page, and when the page is run, you can see that I get a JavaScript alert that says 18. The value 18 is being derived by multiplying the values that we're passing in to the area function, and here we're telling it to return a result of width times height, or in this case 3 times 6. So just be aware that when you need a function to have specific information to perform the task, then you pass on parameters. Depending on how you write your code, the parameters can act as values or as variables.